Good morning. Happy New Year. And welcome to another depressing version of Diatribes from the Voice of Doom. Now here's your despondent and dejected host, Voice of Doom.
Sunshine everywhere. Everybody's happy as a square at the fair. It seems the days are hurrying by. When you're in love, my
Well, it's a song called Blue Skies by the Cy Oliver Orchestra. I will give you more information, but I don't have any. So, we'll leave it there. I've lost interest in doing diatribes, but since my kid is now trying to rebut me with his optimism, I will respond. It's the holiday season, which is the weirdest time of year because people take a lot of time off and they kind of put everything on hold. And if you watch the news, then you see that they're talking about whether it's better to have a real Christmas tree or a plastic one. We'll argue about that. Or we'll talk about, fruitcakes that get passed around for decade after decade until they're hard as a rock and nobody ever eats it. Just the holiday season in general, between Christmas and New Year's, there's a lull. I'm sure that Ukraine is fine now. They're singing Christmas carols and enjoying life. And other places are having a good time of it because it's the holiday season. Like, for instance, El Paso, where they're sleeping in the streets because they're being processed through over the border and left in the streets. And probably freezing. And they're going to keep putting people in until it's untenable to take care of anybody. But those problems aren't around during the holiday season. We enjoy ourselves. We go out to dinner. We're with family. We're very high maintenance, and we're assholes. That's what Christmas is all about. Needless to say, working in the service industry, I'm not a big fan of the holidays because everybody thinks they're it. I won't go into details. I offended a few people. I made a few mistakes. I was under pressure, and I fouled something up. And the customer was kind of a regular who's drunk all the time. But I get along with him okay. We have fun. But he was mad that I didn't put his order in. I thought I put it in the computer, but I didn't send it to the kitchen. So he cussed me out, and I was not too happy about that. I was a little miffed because I tried my best, and if mistakes are made, then I'll make it up to you, but I don't like being cussed out by a drunk. I'm not into drunken people. I've lived with it all my life, and my dad was not a mean drunk, but he drank enough to cause turmoil and said stupid things, and just not fond of people who drink too much, which I will say I do imbibe. But if I think I'm getting to the point where I'm being obnoxious, I will remove myself from the public, because then I know I'm not in the right mind to be with people. But other people aren't like that. They go out in public and they say whatever, and if they get mad, then they get mad, and then I start thinking about things I'd like to do to that person that would make Dean Koontz cringe. But then I think, no, that's not a Buddhist attitude. To wish the worst possible harm on a person that could possibly happen very slowly. So I try to rise above it, but it eats at me because I made a mistake and somebody else is mad. Now, there's a lot of people on this planet that wouldn't give a crap. I don't care if that person likes me or not. They can drop dead. Okay. I'm not really like that. I'd like to, be on the good side of people. And I'm even on the good side of people that argue with me on this internet when I put a comment, especially when I put a comment on a liberal website like CNN or whatever. I will inevitably get people that will lambaste me, call me a fool, call me all kinds of names. And that brings me into the other subject I was going to talk about a bit. When you're on vacation, it's the holiday season. Now, I noticed something funny about people and politics. You hate the opposition with passion. Can't stand anything they do, lambaste everything they do, and then you complain when they go on vacation. Happens every time. It's ridiculous. I got into a semi-argument with some idiot on the internet about, they were saying how much vacation time Orangey took, playing golf and staying here and there and going here and there. And I tried to explain from the standpoint of somebody who's a sentient human being that you can look at Orangey and his behavior and know that he is never not working. Never. I don't care where he is. He can be in Zimbabwe in a grass hut and he will be working. And then all these idiots are complaining because he's taking a vacation when they hate everything he does. Now, this is in stark contrast to our current, whatever the hell he is, Petri dish, who, I don't mind him taking a vacation. I wish he'd take a permanent vacation. I wish he would stay on vacation for the rest of his life and never have to hear from him again. I wish he would take a vacation in Bora Bora with Dylan Mulvaney. That would be interesting, but I don't mind him taking vacations because I hate everything he does. I think he's incompetent. I think he's corrupt. Now, the optics, we call it an optical delusion, is bad because he's going to St. Croix for his Christmas, New Year vacation, and sitting in the warm sun on the beach on a veranda somewhere, enjoying everything there is to enjoy, while many Americans are freezing. So the optics aren't good, but nobody's going to say anything or do anything about that because the majority of people hated Orangey so much that they are happy with whatever Petri dish does. And he's done nothing but good for this country. The year 2022 is about to close. This is the last day. There's about 23 hours and 23 minutes left of this year. And I predicted that 2022 would be a disaster, and it hasn't been as big a disaster as I thought. So I'm a bit disappointed about that because I want the conflagration to come, as you've seen time after time on my diatribes, that I welcome the conflagration because then people will wake up and go, hey, wait a minute. This is a fragile environment we've built ourselves. And if things start going wrong, there's not going to be any checks in the mail. There's not going to be, contingency plans. There's going to be rampant looting and rampant people, facing a lifestyle they don't want to face, called dog eat dog. They're not going to like that. These old people are comfortable living the way they have been, basically bleeding the country dry by supporting the military-industrial complex all their life. So I have no mercy on them. None. There's only a few people that deserve to be called heroes on this planet, and they are all in their 90s, late 90s. They were all born before 1927. So, they're heroes. They stepped up to the plate and they saved us from a lot of bad things that could have made this planet very miserable. But that's it. Don't talk to me about anybody else. No veterans or anybody else fighting for our freedom in Iraq or Vietnam or anywhere else. Yeah, I respect the warrior. I don't respect the fights. So that's it on Petri dish now. They made an edict, apparently, over the vacation that they were probably hoping nobody would notice, but not that they care, that Petri and his cohorts and his gang have put a gag order on Border Patrol agents saying anything to anybody about what the numbers are who are coming over the border. This is from the most transparent administration in the history of what used to be the United States, saying you are not allowed to talk to the press or anyone else about what the numbers are as far as people coming over. Now, I've already told you this whole thing's going to come to a head. It's absurd. Just can't let people keep coming in. Nobody knows where they're going, what they're doing, or how they're going to make it. I'm having a hard time making it. Now, I got to worry about a bunch of other people coming in. And parenthetically on this subject, we need the workers. We need people to do the things that white people don't want to do, like mow the lawns and do the land. Well, I know a lot of white guys that made a lot of money landscaping, okay. But being maids and butlers, what have you, you get people from El Salvador, okay. Let's take that a step further and say, administrative people that basically do nothing and get paid 6 figures a year to be in a chair, to be some sort of a director of education or a superintendent, or even a fire chief, or even people above that level, where they're in the offices talking about where they should start fires. Now, what if we capped their salary at, say, $50,000 or $55,000 a year? They'll never make more than that. I would apply for some of those jobs. I would be a school superintendent for $55,000 a year because it's more than I make now. And I'm sure the job isn't hard. So we ought to think about using some of those undocumented refugees that are fleeing their country, put them in some upper positions for much less pay. I think that makes a lot of sense. And also, Title 42, well, it's being kept in place. And they keep saying stuff like, they turn away 14,000 people a month because of Title 42. Now, does that mean 14,000 people have COVID and they're turning them back to Mexico? Are they testing them? I mean, nobody really knows what this Title 42 means. It has something to do with the CDC. And it's ridiculous. I mean, okay, we're going to get rid of Title 42. There's going to be a flood of people coming. What were they doing there before the flood? They were sitting there with COVID in Mexico somewhere waiting. I mean, come on. Nobody wants to look at the details. There's not one stupid-ass journalist that would say, I'm not just interested in how many people are coming over. I want to know what happens to them afterwards. Follow them from one step to the other. Take them, they're at the desk. Your name is, where are you going, this or that. Okay, here's your bus ticket. Follow them. See what happens to them. I'd really be interested to see what happens to some of these people. So, that's all I had to say. I'm not going to comment on Voice of Boone's video because, there's nothing much to say about it. He's an optimist. He thinks everything's going to be hunky-dory. I don't. I think if 2022 wasn't a disaster, then we'll just wait for 2023. Should be a great year. The Goppers will be in the House of Reps doing nothing, getting nothing done because they're not united and they're not mad enough, and they should be very angry. But they will get angry soon because they'll be dragged out of their houses by biker gangs, and it'll be kind of like Mad Max. So we'll leave it at that, and I want to wish you a happy new year, which it won't be, and have a good night.